Hey friends, welcome back to East Texas Kitchen Care Tips, and I wanted to talk to you today about one of my favorite things. I collect vintage bowls. Now, a lot of you out there have told me you do as well. If not vintage bowls, then some of you have vintage cups or pitchers or different things like that, platters even. So let's talk a little bit about cleaning them safely when you bring them home from a barn sale or a yard sale or antique shop, wherever you may have found it, grandmother's shed even. So these that you see in front of me are just a part of my collection. I have a lot more at home, excuse me, and these smaller ones live on I display the collection at the top of my cabinets, between where the cabinet meets the ceiling. You know, I have a gap there. Like I said before, I believe my mother-in-law calls that the fur down. I think that's a really old-fashioned term. I don't know what it's really called. I need to learn what it's really called so I can say that. But that's where they are displayed. So as you can imagine, when they live up there for a while, they get, in the kitchen, they get dusty. And you know, the kitchen dust has a little bit of oil in it from and I don't fry very much at home, but you still do sometimes. And so it gets a little bit of that oil in there, so the dust will stick to those things as it rises up. So we want to talk about cleaning those things. But first, let's talk about the bowls here that I have. These are yellowware. Now, obviously, they're made out of a yellow stoneware, or clay. It's actually a clay. Most of these were made in the northeast part of our country, of the United States, because in Ohio, Pennsylvania, those states, they have this yellow clay that when they heated it super hot, that's a technical term, it would turn into a hard glass-like substance. So that's why yellowware was so popular for these kinds of bowls. Now, this was in the 19th century and the very early 20th century. So your grandmother and your great-grandmother and so forth, they used these a lot when they were baking bread and that sort of thing, shelling peas or whatever it was. After that, they phased out because what came next was Pyrex and those glass dishes that you could put in the freezer, refrigerator, oven on the table. So they were a little more convenient. So that's when, you know, your mom or your grandmom started using Pyrex. But anyway, these are so pretty. Now, I like Pyrex. I have a lot of Pyrex stuff I use. But this is such a beautiful piece. I mean, think about look at how unique that is. I mean, this has got the ribbing. They call that a beehive side. And the green stripe indicates that this was made in the 19th century. The pink and blue stripes typically are in the early 20th century. So this was made in, you know, 18 something. This was made in maybe 1920 or 1940. So that's kind of how you can tell the difference. But we're going to talk about how to safely clean these when you bring them home. I got some of these from my mother-in-law. I believe she gave me this one. And so I brought it home and I put it up there in the safe place. I don't use it because it has a crack right here. And I know you can't see it probably very well, but there is a crack in this bowl. A lot of yellowware bowls, because they're so old, this is over 100 years old, it has a crack. Maybe somebody dropped it or whatever might have happened over the years. So one of the tips that I'm going to tell you is you can still use this little cracked bowl. You can use it as a centerpiece. You can use it as a display like I do. You can even serve, like put a napkin, a pretty linen napkin in it and put some, you know, little rolls or biscuits in it. That's fine, crackers or whatever. But don't put hot liquids in this because they will seep into that crack. Now, what do I do when I want to clean this? Well, I get a basin of nice hot water and I put just a few drops of liquid dish soap in. I always use Dawn, but you can use whatever your favorite brand is. You can put the bowl in it like that, but don't leave it soaking, okay? Because what's it going to do? It's going to go into that crack and then it's going to start discoloring the clay. So make sure you just put it in briefly, then wipe it out with a good rag like this to get that dust and stickiness off. Clean the outside nicely like this. And these shine up so beautifully that it's very easy to do, like that. And that's really all you have to do to clean it up. So I'll just put it over here, and you can see the difference in them quickly, because the inside in this one is very dull. See, there's no shine to it. As I move it a little bit, there's no shine in there, because where's it been? Right above my oven. And so as the dust has risen, it's gotten a little bit dusty and a little bit oily in there. So I'm going to dip it in this hot water with that little bit of Dawn in it, and I'm going to just swirl it around like that, and I'm going to take it out. And then, as you can see, it's sticking to that dust in there. It's eating it up. I can run my finger through it. Yep, it's greasy in there. Just wiping it right out. So that's all you have to do. You don't want to spray a harsh chemical in there. Don't spray it down with bleach or anything like that. Just use a little bit of Dawn and warm water. So wipe that out like so. And at home, you can take another towel and you can dry it like that. Isn't that a cute bowl? It just makes me so happy. And it makes me even happier when I know it's over 100 years old, right? It's just so cute. And I love displaying it. So there we go. Wipe it out like that. And now it's all nice and bright in there. So I'll put that one aside. But let me tell you one thing, and I'll show you an example. What happens when you leave a bowl sitting in water too long when it has a crack in it? You can see this cute little bowl. This is another one that probably well over 100 years old, and it had cracks in it. Well, guess what happened, y'all? This. So this is what can happen when you soak in water. I didn't soak it. Somebody else along the way must have done so, because there's a lot of discoloration inside that you can see where the water had seeped into the clay. I only paid $5 for this bowl, and I think the dealer who sold it knew, well, this is not going to last very long, because I can see where somebody soaked it in water. It's turning gray in there. It's got cracks. So she sold it for $5. It's just for pretty. And I can glue this back together if I want to and just use it as a display. It's fine. But I wanted to first show you this is what happens if you soak an antique bowl in water and just leave it soaking. Don't do that. So this one, as you can see, it's a lot darker than the other one. And this is called pumpkin ware. It's a yellow ware. It's made out of clay, but the glaze is a little bit different. And so it's got an orange tint to it. Now, depending on where they were made, they had darker clays in some areas. So, you know, it's just fun to know that these yellowware bowls are just made out of the clay that you walking on in our country back, you know, over 100 years ago in some cases. So just clean them up like that. Let them dry with a nice clean towel. I'll grab one out and I will wash them up. But I just wanted to share that with you. Don't leave a bowl soaking like this one. Phil, if the camera will show our viewers out there, you can see that this beautiful little bowl, and I love this bowl, you can see very plainly how the inside of it is discolored from someone along the way soaking it in water, and it seeped into the clay. So don't let that happen. Do it a quick soak and a quick wipe out to clean it and protect your bowls for posterity. And then you can hand them down to your kids and grandkids, and just like my mother-in-law gives me some of hers. So it's fun to collect, they're beautiful to display, and I hope that helps you out with learning how to clean them. This has been another East Texas Kitchen Cares tip, and I'll see you again soon.